Pearl's life has always been a tragedy. She was born a noble with divine powers, yet no one liked her. They believed she was cursed, and so they avoided her. Only one person never did: her father. She remembers a story he told her about dragons. Although they were mean divine creatures, at least they granted wishes. The young Pearl goes to their temple to pray. She has only 2 wishes for them. One, that she can see her father again. And 2, for them to protect her just like her father did and take away her divinity. What she never expected was that a baby dragon was really lying there. And it seems to have heard her wishes because 10 years later, a dragon shows up ready to fulfill it all. The 17-year-old Pearl is sitting in a carriage with a maid, but she doesn't look too good. Outside, the servants escorting the carriage are all complaining. They call her a jinx. Look, even marrying her off is such a problem. Of course, Pearl can hear all this, and that is why she doesn't look good. What makes it even worse is the behavior of her family before she left. Her own sister, Medea, came over to mock her, saying her husband might be old and ugly, but he will take care of her. Take care of her? That man has 7 wives already. And now Pearl is going to be his 8th one. Her sister calls it a blessing. May she be blessed like that too, amen. Pearl might have overlooked the sister's behavior and put it up to jealousy. She is prettier than her. But when your own mother refuses to let you touch her and slaps your hand away, then you know something is wrong. Her mother even tells Pearl to be grateful, saying they fought hard for this opportunity for her. Pearl can't understand. Why would they want a 17-year-old girl to marry an old 50-year-old man? Her brother has joined them and tells Pearl to shut up. He says a jinx like her doesn't have a right to complain. Out of anger, he raises his hands to hit her. It seems she is already used to this and closes her eyes, but the expected slap doesn't come. She looks up to see her mother stopping her brother from hitting her. But it is not because the woman suddenly developed some maternal love. It is because that old man has paid a fortune for Pearl's pretty face. It is good business, so they can't ruin it. Her mother gives a final decision. They will leave tomorrow. She doesn't care if Pearl is willing or not. They will tie her to the carriage if she refuses. Our girl has no hope anymore and finally agrees. Just remembering all this now affects Pearl's mood. Out of nowhere, black flames suddenly begin to come out of her body. The maid sitting with her rushes to get out of the carriage. Well, she isn't ready to die yet. She doesn't forget to call Pearl an evil witch and curses her to die in her own flames. It is only right for her to die here. Well, I don't know about Pearl, but I don't think you can survive, honey. Because right in front of the maid, a huge silver dragon suddenly shows up. Everyone begins to run, none of them remembering their mistress in the carriage. Pearl is also shocked to see a dragon show up. She has to get out of here. Except when she tries to open the door, she discovers those damn servants locked her inside. Pearl is confused for a moment before she remembers she has flames. She can burn the door down. See, I knew those flames were useful. Before she can do that, however, she hears a sound coming from the other window. Something seems to be sniffing around. Pearl looks back only to see a huge dragon staring through the window right at her. The dragon has destroyed the carriage and is now staring straight at Pearl. But something seems to be strange. You know those confusing dreams that you have where everything is strange? Pearl feels like she is in one right now. Because why did she just hear this dragon call her his bride? The shock is too much for our girl and she faints. Pearl is having a dream. It is more like a memory because it happened to her before. In the dream, she has returned to a younger age. Her doll has just been snatched away by her brother and his friends. And no matter how much she begs for him to give it back, he refuses to. She tells him it is hers, but he reminds her of her identity. She is a lowborn. Her mother was a peasant woman who slept with the head of the family, and that was how Pearl was born. The other children begin to hit and laugh at her, calling her a peasant. Unknown to them, a little creature is watching them from above. The baby dragon is sure Pearl doesn't have any divinity. Because why hasn't she used it on these animals bullying her? What I thought too. The baby dragon finds it boring and is just about to fly away when Pearl's brother spots it. He thinks it is a bird and immediately hits it with a stone. The dragon is terrified because it can't move. No, instead it is falling. Before it can hit the ground, somebody immediately rushes to catch it. Pearl manages to save the dragon. She takes a look at it and is surprised by its beautiful eyes. The 2 cute creatures stare at each other and start blushing. I can totally see the pink bubbles around them. It is not bestiality, right guys? But of course, there will always be someone coming to ruin a good moment. Her brother, John, isn't happy seeing her so pleased. Her sister, Medea, finds it funny. How can Pearl be so concerned about a bird when she can't even protect herself? She just can't see Pearl happy, so she comes up with an evil plan. She brings out a dagger and asks Pearl to cut off the bird's tail. Of course, our girl doesn't agree. She doesn't even care about the dagger placed next to her face. She refuses to do it. Her sister isn't pleased and drags her hair. She complains about how hard it is to get a peasant to do something and suddenly slams Pearl's head to the floor. When next Pearl looks up, there is a large wound on her forehead. But she isn't concerned about that. No, our girl is more worried about her little dragon. As usual, she has failed to protect another tiny life. She tries to grab the poor dragon, but she can't. Pearl is in despair and starts wondering what she is even living for. Her curse starts to act up and the black flames appear. The children are terrified and start to run away while our female lead lies on the floor with tears in her eyes. Our girl wakes up still in tears, but all that flies away when she opens her eyes and sees a handsome man lying in bed with her. The man seems to have been waiting for her to wake up and immediately hugs her. Pearl is confused and shocked. Who can tell her what is going on? Who is this guy? She suddenly notices something. With those blue eyes and silver hair, he looks just like the dragon that kidnapped her. This man is a dragonkin. Pearl might not have an idea as to how this dragon man is staring at her, but he is looking at her like a cat who has just seen some fish. Pearl can still feel the danger in his gaze and is determined to run away. But how can she? This must be the dragon's domain. Will there even be any humans here? Before she can move far away from him, the dragon stops her by licking her face. He is busy licking away her tears. Unfortunately, our poor girl has no sense of romance and is sure this dragon is about to eat her. She is so scared, she immediately faints. Noticing the girl not moving anymore, Eric looks at her and discovers she has fainted once again. Well, who cares? Eric just continues licking those tears. He isn't happy because human tears taste like nothing. They aren't even as good as the tears of the sea people, which turn to pearls. But since he loves Pearl, he says he is determined to overlook her flaws. Boy, she doesn't even know you. Eric the dragon is pleased with himself. He keeps sniffing Pearl because she smells so sweet. He hugs the sleeping woman and can't wait for her to wake up. He has already imagined the scene in his mind. He will give her a bouquet of flowers, tell her his name and how much he loves her. Of course, Pearl will be very accepting and will collect his flowers happily. She will even tell him she loves him too. And then there will be flowers and white doves and they will just get married straight away. Guys, I think we have a delusional dragon here. Eric is still daydreaming when someone suddenly knocks and pushes open the door. He is pissed, but the man who comes in is even more traumatized. Because why is Eric naked? No wonder Pearl fainted. Eric coolly says he is a dragon, so he doesn't need to wear clothes. Anthony reminds him he just brought back a human. The least he can do is wear some pretty clothes and jewels. Eric is not ready to listen to his friend's lecture and ask why he came to disturb him. Anthony announces that they are under attack. Eric doesn't waste time and grabs his sword. Immediately, he and his men head to the battlefield. Watching him command his men, I can finally understand these girls that fantasize over dragons. Sob. While our man is fighting a battle, Pearl, who has become a wife without her even knowing, is awake. Seeing that the dragonkin has been gone for a day, she is wondering if she should just run away. Well, it's too late for her because her man is back. The least this guy could do is take a shower. Why would he show up covered in blood? Thankfully, Pearl doesn't pass out again. Not even when the dragon holds her face and demands she tells him she loves him. Hearing those words remind Pearl of her past. We don't know what happened in the temple, but she came home covered in blood. After being scrubbed like a thief so her curse won't soil their home, she was locked up for a long time. With no one to talk to and people coming over to curse and whip her, Pearl's life was very tragic. But anytime those flames appeared, those same people would run away screaming. Pearl is still thinking about her sad life. She seems to have forgotten about Eric the dragon, who is still waiting for her to confess how madly in love she is with him. She doesn't say anything for a long time, and he becomes impatient, asking what she is thinking. It is only then that Pearl remembers someone was talking to her. She is confused at first, but when she remembers what he asked, she immediately panics. Now how should she answer him? She is worried he would eat her up if she says something wrong. Our poor dragon is feeling sad, but isn't in a rush. He just has to feed his wife first. Pearl is confused because she has no idea how they went from confessing love to feeding her. He doesn't give her a chance and just pulls her along. Pearl is feeling very strange right now. She doesn't truly believe this dragon wants to feed her. Even when she was locked up by her family, they never even cared if she would need to eat. She was hungry and sick from head to toe. She finally couldn't bear it anymore and just burnt the lock of the door and ran to the kitchen to find some food. The cook didn't know who she was and thought Pearl was just a peasant child someone brought in. She gave her some food, and till this day, that food was the best Pearl had ever eaten. Just the simple act of him feeding her is enough to change Pearl's thoughts about him. Maybe this dragon man isn't as scary as I thought, she thinks, but it seems our girl concluded too easily. Staring at the man who just used his fingers to slice off a piece of raw meat, Pearl is confused and a bit scared. Even worse, he hands her the meat that is still dripping with blood and tells her it is good food. Eric might have been trying to feed his little wife, but all Pearl can think of is he is threatening her. Seeing him lick the blood, she's sure this must be human flesh, and he is using this to warn her. Pearl mocks herself for being so foolish. Did she really expect kindness from a bloodthirsty monster? But she is hungry, though, and therefore asks Eric if she can cook. She would like to eat like a human, but even though she is the one who asked to cook, Pearl finds out she can't. Maybe it is because of the man watching her from behind, but she is too terrified to do anything. Soon, she starts shaking and crying. She warns herself to get it together, but she just can't. To her shock, someone suddenly hugs her from behind. Her dragon is worried seeing her shaking so badly. He wants to know what is making her afraid. Pearl can feel her heart beating so fast. This man hugging her sweetly from behind makes her feel very terrified. Mama, she just wants to run away. It becomes even worse when he starts sniffing her, but Pearl has no choice than to stay, because she has nowhere to run to. Our poor ignorant dragon notices his wife has stopped shaking and immediately starts to wonder why she was so afraid off. Excuse me, have you looked at yourself? He isn't as ignorant as we thought, as he knows she is probably afraid of him. Pearl is done cooking and has brought the food over to the table. She is about to eat, but why is Eric still staring at her? She is starting to think he might want to have a taste of it. True to what she thought, the man starts to stretch his hand to grab some of the food. Pearl is at alert. Don't tell her he is about to eat with his hands. In her rush to stop him, she grabs his hand. When she realizes what she just did, she gets shy again and pulls away from him. What is she doing? Whatever, she doesn't care anymore. Since she has started it, she is determined to finish it. And so our girl starts to feed her dragon. Eric is surprised, but will he reject it? Of course not. And so our dragon is introduced to his first taste of human food. The taste is so good. He smiled brightly. Sigh, our poor Pearl is bewitched by his smile, and so she starts feeding him more. Girl, you made that food because you were hungry. At the end, a full pot of food is finished, and Pearl didn't even get to take a bite. While she is still feeling sad, the culprit comes over and hugs her, asking if the food is finished. Pearl is uncomfortable with how close he is. She tells him she wants to go and wash the dishes, but it is just an excuse so he can let go of her. Eric pins her to the table and tells her not to worry. Now that he has fed her, even though all the food ended up in his stomach, it is time for her to tell him she loves him. Pearl is confused. Our dragon is still seriously thinking about it. He feels it would be better if he says it first. Then she will say it back to him. And while Pearl is still in a state of confusion, he boldly tells his human he loves her. But it doesn't go well for him. Because after hearing this, Pearl laughs. She mocks him for saying such rubbish and pushes him away. Immediately, her flames start to appear, ready to destroy everything. Anthony is panicking. The whole city alarm has been triggered. He rushes to go find Eric, but doesn't expect to find the source of the problems. Pearl is kneeling on the floor while Eric sits before her. Their clothes are burnt and black because of the flames. Anthony is a bit furious. He can't understand how Pearl is yet to control her powers. Eric stops him from scolding her and immediately leaves without looking at Pearl. Our dear girl is still on the floor, feeling sorry for herself. Now she is even more sure of it. She is going to be executed. She can still hear the voices of the people back home cursing her. Before she can drown in her sorrows, Anthony speaks to her. He asks why she isn't chasing after Eric yet. Pearl is a bit confused, so Anthony explains that is how it happens in the books Eric reads. I knew that man was Delulu. He reminds Pearl that Eric is the only dragon heir, yet he ignored his family's protests and brought her here. Those words remind Pearl, since she doesn't have a choice anyway, then she has to stop overthinking. All she has to do is get moving. Watching the girl leaving, Anthony smiles playfully. Now Pearl has really become a dragon's bride. Pearl is chasing after her man. She can still hear Anthony telling her how much Eric loves her and wants her to be his bride. All she has to do is tell him she loves him, and he would give her the world. Pearl can't understand why. Why would he love her? It is too strange and hard to believe. She sees her man sitting on the window ledge looking sad. Guys, help. This dragon really thinks he is a character in a romance book. He tells Pearl he could eat her up right now only because she stayed to chat with Anthony instead of running after him immediately. Our girl reveals Anthony was telling her about Eric, but the man isn't satisfied. He hugs her and says Pearl should ask him personally if she wants to know anything about him. After a day of acting like a lovesick protagonist, Eric is finally ready to go to bed. Pearl stares at the man sleeping in bed with her. She doesn't know why, but ever since he stayed with her after the black flames touched him, her heart has been feeling strange. He is the first person to do so. Eric, who has been pretending to sleep, finally opens his eyes when he hears Pearl sleeping. While looking at his sleeping bride, he notices her torn clothes from the flames. Wait, so y'all didn't shower? In a perfectly logical way, Eric decides the best thing to do would be to rip the dress off Pearl. Looking at her and what was supposed to be her bridal dress, he comes up with an even better idea. Get her changed while she is sleeping. Pearl can feel something is wrong even in her sleep. Why is everything so ticklish? She opens her eyes to see who is tickling her, but the first thing she sees is a very white, very lacy bra. Looking at the man holding the bra, our girl is confused. Just as she sits up, she discovers something even more embarrassing. She is naked. The culprit doesn't think it is a big deal and admits he was the one who tore off her clothes. Why? They weren't nice to look at. His attention is on something more important, where the lacy bra in his hand is supposed to go. Pearl is about to die of shame. No matter how she begs, the man doesn't release the bra. When she goes to grab it, she suddenly falls into his arms. Blushing, she can only explain to the man that it is an undergarment. Of course, that is not Eric's concern. He just wants to know how to help her put it on. Just before Pearl faints out of embarrassment, someone comes in to save her. Anthony is here to see Eric and even threatens to come in. Before he can count to 3 completely, our dear dragon opens the door and punches Anthony. Oh dear, let's all pretend that the human-shaped hole on the wall is not there because Eric just punched his friend through it. Anthony's ordeal isn't over. Eric keeps beating him up, making the poor man regret he should never have called them for breakfast. What's worse, the person he came with doesn't even want to save him. Looking at the chaos outside, only one thought is in Pearl's head: run away before he comes back. She immediately runs out, forgetting the man who risked his life to save her. Poor Anthony. Before Pearl can run very far, she is stopped by a creature. It's a cute little fairy. He is Anthony's partner, Silly. Pearl is in awe. This is her first time seeing a fairy. He looks just like those in her father's books. The fairy also seems happy to see her. In fact, it wants to grant her a wish right now. But hearing that takes away Pearl's joy. The only thing she would have wished for was to go home. But even if she does, would there be anyone waiting for her return? After getting ready with the help of Silly, Pearl is all set to have her breakfast. In the dining hall, Anthony is still complaining bitterly. Half the time, he thinks Eric really hates them and treats them like enemies. Look, he even bit and ate some of his spine. Eric can't be bothered with him while the other guy, Rhodey, is more eager to see the human. Just then, Pearl shows up with Silly. Rhodey is happy to see her, but not as happy as Eric. He immediately hugs her and tells her how beautiful she looks. She might look beautiful, but what Eric wants right now is the food she cooks. Pearl runs off to do it. Meanwhile, Rhodey scolds Eric. Even after learning the human customs, he is still so rough. Look, he just scared off the poor girl. He is smart enough to shut up when Eric threatens to beat him up, though. He even starts begging for mercy. Eric isn't bothered and wants to announce his plan to them. Unknown to him, Pearl is hiding behind a wall, listening to them. And she hears some shocking news. Eric is planning to have a wedding with her. While Eric is waiting for his dear wife to cook him a personal meal, the other men have started their breakfast. While they eat, Anthony wants to know if Eric has consummated his marriage with Pearl. He wants to know how it feels like doing it with a human. Unfortunately for him, he has a very clueless dragon beside him. Eric doesn't even know what the word means. Rhodey cannot believe his friend. He flew all the way to capture her and marry her, yet he doesn't even know what the word means. He turns to Anthony for support, but the man is more worried about his eardrum being destroyed. Before they can continue their scolding, Pearl appears with Eric's food. She hands it over to him, but he refuses. Instead, he wants her to feed him. His two friends are disgusted to death. Suddenly, this man can't feed himself anymore. They quickly run away before Eric rubs his relationship in their faces again. Just like yesterday, she starts feeding the man. But this time, it is harder to do it. Because there are a bunch of dragons peeping through the window at her? Pearl is nervous. It is really scary. She doesn't expect the man in front of her to notice her fear and comfort her. Is this man really protecting her? After Eric's breakfast, because that girl ain't eat nothing for 2 days now. Anyways, Eric seems to be taking Pearl somewhere. Meanwhile, our girl is wondering who she is to this man. Don't worry, girl, all the girlies ask this same question. This man gives her a contradictory feeling. He scares her, but he also protects her, feeds her, and buys her clothes. All this leads her to believe she is just his emergency food. Even she finds it funny and starts laughing. She really might be going crazy. But somehow she doesn't feel scared of him anymore. Eric interrupts her thinking and asks her to step back. They are in front of a large door. She doesn't understand, but when the door is finally opened, she knows why. It is so cold. Without thinking, she leans on Eric, who is immediately pleased. At least this little thing knows how to rely on him. He carries her inside the room and puts down a stone. Immediately, everywhere becomes warm, and that is when Pearl finally realizes what she is doing. She is holding Eric so tightly. Even COVID officials will be pleased with the social distancing she gives Eric. Her man isn't having any of that and hugs her. He scolds her for leaving, and she can only say she didn't think he would like it. He grabs her face and asks who said that. Looking at those sharp teeth, Pearl takes back her words. This man is still very scary. Eric has some important work to do, and therefore leaves Pearl here. He promises her no dragonkin will come to find her in here. Pearl is confused, but he tells her they seem to like her. Pearl looks around to see who he is talking about, and that is when she notices the dragon eggs. As if in agreement, the eggs start to shake. She has just one job to do here. She can oil the eggs. Eric doesn't want her to stress herself out and tells her to just do it casually. He immediately leaves to do his important business, figuring out what consummated means. He remembers it from a book he read, but now he is worried. Will Pearl's body be able to handle him? Pearl has no idea what dirty thoughts that man is having. Instead, she is wondering if she is going blind or her eyes are tricking her. Did those eggs just move? As if to confirm her thoughts, the egg suddenly flies towards her. Pearl has just confirmed the eggs can move. She is busy lifting the first egg when another one flies towards her again. The two eggs lay on her chest and suddenly start fighting. Pearl is amused by them and laughs happily. They are just like two naughty children. She separates the eggs and promises to oil each of them. She starts to oil them and everything seems to be going well. But how can she ever have a good time? Suddenly, her black flames start to burn. Anthony and Rhodey are in the library. Inspired by his king's wise and wonderful idea, Rhodey is now also considering kidnapping back a bride too. It doesn't matter if she isn't human. Even beast folk will do. He really wants to consummate and have a bunch of eggs too. Anthony glares at him. Before Rhodey can say anything, Anthony snaps his fingers and the originally grown Rhodey instantly turns into a small boy. What, my crush is actually a kid? Anthony smirks and tells Rhodey he is just reminding him of his true age. If no new dragons are born, Rhodey will always be the youngest among them. How can a small child like him be thinking of consummating and having eggs? Our baby Rhodey is about to commit murder. And that is what Eric sees when he walks in. Rhodey sitting on Anthony's head and biting him. Now that Eric is here, Anthony is done playing with Rhodey. He picks him up, holding him like a little lizard, and tells him to go put some clothes on. The poor kid can only crawl away. Eric is here to demand some answers from Anthony. He wants to know how to consummate. Anthony isn't ready to tell him. He tells Eric not to rush. It might not be a good thing to consummate because what if Pearl is barren? He reminds Eric that if after consummation, Pearl is unable to lay eggs, the elders wouldn't accept her because she can't fulfill their hopes for recreation. Eric immediately gets angry and attacks Anthony. He warns the man. It doesn't matter if his wife can lay eggs and procreate or not. Well, sir, what about if she destroys your eggs? Because right now, your girl has set your dragon eggs on fire. Pearl can't control her black flames and is worried the eggs will be burnt. Before the fire even touches them, those two little troublesome eggs immediately jump out of her arms and into the flames. Eric is still in a rage. He warns Anthony it will never matter if Pearl cannot lay eggs or procreate. He chose her over 10 years ago, and nothing will come between them now. It turns out Eric was that baby dragon from back then. And he has made up his mind. Not even his elders or his friends can separate him from Pearl. Anthony is about to faint from Eric choking him and tells him to calm down. Once he releases him, he tells Eric some secrets to making the girl his. He thinks she will surely be missing her parents and tells Eric all he has to do is bring them here. Eric knows she isn't on good terms with her family and refuses. Anthony gives Eric another idea. For him to capture her family members and punish them. He promises Eric that Pearl will love it. The girl they are talking about is having a mental breakdown. 3, 4, 5. There are so many cracks on the eggs. Not only have they burnt, but they are also cracked. Pearl is about to die. Suddenly, she hears someone approaching. The eggs run off as soon as they hear the sound. It is Eric, and he is about to take his bride out when he notices her red eyes. He immediately panics when he sees her crying and demands to know who hurt her. I don't know, maybe look at that corner where 2 little eggs are peeping from? Eric hugs her and begs her not to cry. Just seeing her tears makes him want to kill someone. Pearl doesn't know if she should be touched or not. She doesn't know if he is worried about her or warning her. She remembers her mother always hated her crying and hiding. She thinks Eric might also hate it and decides to tell the truth. And so she takes out the trembling eggs from behind her and shows them to him. She tells him they are cracked and apologizes, but to her surprise, he isn't angry. He even asks why she is apologizing. After all, these eggs went centuries without hatching. Seeing him spinning the eggs like a ball, she is worried he would break them. She immediately grabs it and holds it to her chest. Looking at her, Eric recalls his meeting with Anthony. His friend gave him a book on consummating. Now after reading it, Eric is ready to make his move. He grabs her and tells her how jealous he is. She has never hugged him that way before. Pearl can't believe what she is hearing. How can this man be jealous of an egg? But Eric isn't done. After promising to give her the gift she desires, he grabs Pearl and immediately kisses her. Eric is putting all his strength into kissing Pearl. He expects her to feel shy or to blush, but instead this girl is more worried about her eggs escaping. Eric can't believe it. Of all things to distract her when she is with him, it has to be an egg? I don't know, man. Ever heard of mother's love? The poor egg is shaking, but the person bearing Eric's anger the most is Pearl. He even bit her lips. He demands she only look at him from now on, especially when he is in front of her. Pearl has no idea why he is so upset. He even bit her. He drags her out of the hall. Unknown to the two of them, a man in black has been watching them. Holding the cracked egg, he is delighted. Just like the witch said, the human girl Eric brought back is very useful, and he is determined to use her until there is nothing left of her. Pearl has no idea someone is already targeting her. She is receiving a gift from her man. Right. It must be some beautiful jewelries or dresses, and most certainly not a dagger. Oh well, it is a dagger. At least it is pretty and has jewelry on it. Pearl is also surprised. Eric mistakes her surprise for dislike and asks what she wants. He will get someone to forge it right now. Of course Pearl likes it. It is a weapon. She suddenly can't understand anything anymore. These last few days have been like a dream. First, she got kidnapped by a dragon, but her life with him is actually better than her previous life without him. At least here, she sleeps well, eats good food, and even wears pretty clothes. But the problem is, she doesn't know what this dragon man wants from her. Does he really want to eat her? Or is he really serious about her? Since she isn't a seer or someone that can read minds, she doesn't bother herself with guessing anymore. She will just take the dagger first. Before she can grab it, he suddenly turns her around and stuffs it into her clothes. He even uses that as an excuse to touch her tiny waist. Now Pearl is confused again. If this man really wants to eat her, would he ask her to cook for him and feed him? Or would he tell her about all the secret passages and doors in his mansion? Or give her some new clothes and even change her clothes for her? She is sure Eric is not a fool. There is no way he would give his prey a weapon that could hurt him. She suddenly remembers what he told his friends about marrying her. Is he really serious? Wait, why does she feel some breeze right on her bare back? When she looks back, indeed, this sneaky man is taking off her clothes. She demands to know what he is doing, and he honestly says he is helping her take off her clothes. After all, they are burnt. Pearl panics and screams for her life, assuring him she can change her own clothes. Only then does he release her. Pear is curious about one thing, though. She wants to know why Eric is not afraid of her flames. After the incident that happened at the temple where she burnt the souls of those that mocked her, making them lose their minds, everyone became afraid of her and abandoned her. Eric suddenly grabs her hand and asks if she is worried. He makes a ridiculous request. He asks her to set him on fire right now. Pearl refuses to do so. She can't control her flames and is worried it will hurt him. He explains to her that dragons do not fear fire. After all, no fire in the 9 nations can compare to the dragon's flame. He wants her to trust him even if she can't trust herself and should just go ahead and set him on fire. Pearl is touched by Eric's words, but she really can't control her flames and can't release it at will. Eric looks disappointed when he hears that. Dude, are you so eager to grill yourself? He even promises to wait until the next time it comes out again so he can prove to her that he doesn't fear it. Pearl suddenly finds him very funny. He sounds just like a child who is bragging about his talent. She laughs and says she believes him. Now she asks him to trust her on one thing too. She really can change her clothes on her own. Pearl is done changing and steps outside. Immediately, she sees Eric. She runs up to him and holds out her hands to him. He stretches his hand, about to touch her. Pearl is confused and calls his name. It turns out this man was just daydreaming and imagining things. Delusional. Eric is a bit embarrassed and immediately acts like he was coughing. In his head, he has made up his mind to confess and marry her soon. He notices she likes simple dresses that cover her chest and veins. It is such a shame. He can't see that perfect view anymore, but seeing her alive is good enough for him. It's not like in his dreams where every time he sees her, she ends up dead. He mentions her love for plain clothes and she says it suits her better. When she asks about his taste, he says he likes elegant clothing. Pearl suddenly says he is already good-looking, so he doesn't need any jewelry. Just hearing that makes Eric feel like his heart has been hit with a Cupid's arrow. Our Dragon King just received his first compliment from his wife, and of course, everyone must hear it. Since his wife said he is good-looking, he has to move faster. Right now, he is going to get her present and confess to her. And so our male lead changes into his dragon form and flies off. Watching him fly away, Rhodey is panicking. Their king is really going out to kidnap more humans. He scolds Anthony for coming up with the idea. The older man isn't concerned. Since they can't stop him, they just have to speak to someone who can. His bride. Rhodey is sure Anthony has a death wish. How dare he visit Eric's bride behind the man's back? Anthony reminds him they don't have a choice. Things will only get worse if they don't stop Eric, and the only person who can do that is his bride. Over at Pearl's family, they are preparing to hold a funeral for her. Her sister doesn't want to hold the funeral, but her brother insists. People were already angry when they married her off to that old man. Only by holding her funeral can they save their reputation. Her sister is angry and immediately starts cursing Pearl. Even when dead, she is still causing them trouble. The funeral begins and the priest is about to hold a prayer for Pearl's supposedly dead soul. However, her family refuses and wants her to just be buried immediately. They are sure she is in hell already. Someone even says she must have gotten her flames after signing a deal with the devil. They all just want to get this sorry excuse of a funeral over with. Suddenly, the doors open and a man in knight's uniform immediately storms in with his guards. He scolds Pearl's family. She is their daughter and family member? How could they just easily conclude that she is dead? Why? Pearl doesn't understand. Why would Eric choose to betray her like this too? Earlier this morning, he pulled her into a room. He called it a ward, saying it would keep other dragons out. And then he locked her in this room. He warned her not to leave the room while he is gone. Pearl can't understand why. They were just getting along fine, so why would he lock her up? Worse, when she tried to touch the door, it suddenly turned into flames. Why would Eric do this? It just reminds her of that time back at home when Medea threatened to burn off her face with a blowtorch. All because she received a letter from a man. Pearl didn't even understand why her sister was so upset. The man in question was someone Pearl met at a ball. A gentleman had just come to ask for a dance with her, but her mother refused on her behalf. After saying she is just an empty vase with just looks and poor dancing skills, she pushes Medea out to dance with the man instead. Pearl was left alone, but her sister wasn't done with her and asked a guard to dance with her. Pearl knew it was just to bully her because she had never learned how to dance before. But the man never cared. After the dance, he mentioned his name was Jacob and asked her to remember it. Of course, no one cared about an ordinary guard, until he went on to become an accomplished knight. And when that same man wrote her a letter, Medea went crazy and locked her up, threatening to burn her face. Just like today. Pearl has no idea why she suddenly dreamt about those things. Maybe it was because of what Rhodey said. The small boy asked her to sweet-talk Eric and make him believe she loved him. Only then would he stop running around causing trouble. Pearl is confused as she doesn't understand what he is saying. He explains to her that Eric is going out to catch her family members so that he can cheer her up. He wants to know if she wants to save them. Pearl has no idea about this. She really thought Eric wanted to eat her. Rhodey is even more shocked when he hears this and tells her Eric is doing everything for her sake. Pearl has no idea why he would want a witch like her who is hated by everyone. She doesn't even understand half of what Rhodey said. But him asking her to save her family? How can she save them when she doesn't even know who her family is? Medea is having a mental breakdown. Sitting in her carriage, she is busy cursing all of Pearl's generations. She cannot forget what just happened today. Sir Jacob came to Pearl's funeral. She was happy to see him and rushed to go and greet him only for him to treat her like dirt and ignore her. His only focus was on Pearl. He even promised her family that he would track down the dragon, slay it, and bring Pearl back. John pretended to be happy to hear that and promised to pay Jacob well if he finds Pearl. He would even speak good of him in front of the king. Jacob isn't concerned about all that. He doesn't need those. All he wants is for her family to cancel her engagement so he can marry her. Medea is even more mad because her brother agreed. Who gave him that right? She curses him too. Unexpectedly, those might be her last words because suddenly a huge dragon appears and destroys the carriage. Seeing this causes everyone to flee. A dragon is here to kill them.
If you enjoyed this, please like, share, and subscribe. It would really help us grow. Bye now.